it's Michaela, and you are watching FunsizedStyle. So for today's video, I wanted to provide you with an update on my not the last video, but the video before that, where I talked about how my bone-anchored hearing aid surgery placement surgery got denied by my health insurance, and I asked you for any input that you may have and just overall prayer that I will eventually be able to get the device that I need so much that will drastically improve my safety and my quality of life, and just overall super important for me. You all provided so much support and advice, and some things have actually transpired since I posted that video, and I wanted to share with you what has transpired since then and what the next steps are, and also provide a few more thoughts on everything that I've shared with this process so far. I will have this video linked in the iCard where I talked about how my bone-anchored hearing aid placement surgery got denied by my insurance and what all that was going to involve and all the details leading up to why it was denied and all of that. So I'll have that video linked in the iCard. First, I just wanted to say thank you for all your prayers and all of your advice as well. A few of you commented some really great insight of things I should consider and plan B and C and D if these appeals do not get approved or accepted and I'm still getting denials. And so I just wanted to say thank you for that, because this is yet another example about having a community is so awesome, because you all have provided me with so much, and I just think it's amazing how the internet can provide a place for us all to come together and help each other out, and you have definitely helped me through this and given me reassurance that God will provide for all that I need, and I think we all need that reminder sometimes. I also just wanted to say the day that I found out about the denial, I was going on Instagram, and the Christian app that I follow on Instagram, I think it's called Abide something, and they posted, I don't have my phone with me, but I forget what verse it was. They highlighted like, God will supply all that you need, and it was the day that I received the denial notification of my bone-anchored hearing aid. The day that that was posted of the reminder of God will supply all that you need was no coincidence, and I just think it's incredible how it reaches us in so many ways and just sends us so many reminders of how He's always with us and will provide for all that we need. It is still such a bummer that I have to fight for every little thing that I do need, and the system is set up the way that it is, but it's the name of the game, and the end goal is that I do get what I need, and I can't change the system overnight. So for now, I have to deal with what I've got and work with the system that's in front of me and do all that I can to get this device. This process, I've had to make several phone calls to retrieve documents that I need in order to file this appeal. I kept having to make calls, and I love my surgeon and her staff, but they're not the best. My surgeon is excellent at follow-up, but the office staff, like the people helping me with this paperwork and stuff, they're not the best at follow-up. So that required me to make several back and forth phone calls, making sure that I had all the right documents that I would need in order to file this appeal appropriately, so that there were no hiccups and no reason for them to deny me. And so after making several phone calls and just sending messages back and forth to my surgeon's team about, again, the paperwork that I would need, it was several days, and I don't know, like I said, they're just not good at follow-up. And so finally, like the last time that I called, I said, look, like, I've called so many times, like, I don't know what's going on. I know the paperwork can take a while, but if you could at least provide me with an update as, like, what is going on, it'd be really helpful, just so that I know and so that I don't have to keep calling. And they finally got it all situated, and they were able to contact the person that was kind of helping to oversee the paperwork that I would need for the appeal. So they were like, we're checking on one more thing, and then we'll call you back. And I said, okay. And I'm like, sure, they're gonna call me back. Well, they actually did call me back, and my surgeon is absolutely incredible. She is really going to bat for me. She hates that I was dismissed so many times by so many physicians. And if you don't know what I mean, check out my hearing loss playlist. But my surgeon that I have now has been absolutely incredible. The 3 years now I think I've had her. She is a person that I wish I had all these years when this whole nightmare started when I was a child. And she is just amazing and really gone to bat for me and just really cares about me as a person and not just as a patient. And finding physicians like that is so difficult, but it is worth the wait. And I always make sure to talk about my past experiences here on this channel, because so often you all hear me talk about how amazing so many of my healthcare providers are and have been in my life, and that is so true. But I've also had my fair share of not good healthcare providers, and so when I share about how amazing my team is, know that the point to all this is that it's taken me a really long time to establish this team that I have. I hate to say it, but it really is hard to find a good doctor and someone that cares. That's how it is. I think patients often forget that physicians work for us. Like, we hire and fire them, and especially throughout my spinal fusion success, so many people have come to me and they're like, or I receive messages like, you're so lucky that your team like is willing to do your spinal surgery, or that you're able to have a spinal surgery. You have the power to switch providers. Like, they work for you and you have that ability to hire and fire them, essentially. Like, you are never without options. I just want to bring that up because I am going to share in this video. I just feel like really speaks volumes at how amazing my surgeon is and is really going the extra mile for me to be able to get this device that I need. And I realize that not everyone has a physician like this that is willing to go to bat like this for them, willing to take the time. Doctors are busy, right? Surgeons are busy. But I want to also share this to show that there are more than one surgeon out there like mine. There are lots of good surgeons and surgeons that care about their patients as people, not just patients. Anyways, I hope you don't mind me sharing that. Now getting into what I really wanted to make this video for, to share about, was that, so after they had finally actually called me back, like I thought they weren't going to, but they did. They had told me that my surgeon was actually going to help file the appeal for me. She hates that I was dismissed by so many physicians before I found her, and as a result I lost my hearing in my right ear. And this hearing loss is not my fault. It should have never gotten to this point, but we can't go back in time. The damage that has been done has been done. As you all know, by the time I had found her, it was too late for her to repair. There was already too much damage done beyond repair that she could do. And so she hates that I was dismissed so many times by so many different physicians, and so she wants to do everything that she can to make sure that I get this device to help me be able to hear, because she knows how much I've been through with this journey and how long it's taken me to get to the point that I'm at today, and the least that I should be able to have is the ability to hear. And so what she has taken upon herself to do is she has scheduled a peer-to-peer interview or meeting with my insurance company and provide all the evidence of medical necessity as to why I need this bone-anchored hearing aid. Present her case and my case to my insurance company as to why this needs to be covered. Really cool about the peer-to-peer meeting, what's a phone meeting, is that I don't have to wait. We don't have to wait 30 days for them to make a decision. A peer-to-peer meeting decision is made within like 48 hours, I think they said. So by the end of this week, we will have the results as to whether they decide to approve or deny the bone-anchored hearing aid placement surgery. And if it is approved, then we'll be able to schedule a surgery. I just think that it is so awesome and so amazing that she took it upon herself to want to help me through this red tape. Like, I never even asked her. Like, all I did was call them because there was some paperwork that I needed and test results that I needed and some letters that she had to write. But I did not expect her to help me fight this battle and take it upon herself to do this for me and to help me get through this. There's so much red tape going through this, so many phone calls, and I hate dealing with insurance. And so, as I'm sure all of you know, and so many of you have shared your insurance horror stories with me, and it's a messy, messy concept, and I know so many of you are going through these struggles as well. And she's so busy. Like, she has dozens of other patients. She's in the OR 3 days a week. Like, for her to take time out of her day to want to do this for me, and I mean, I know she has somewhat of an obligation because she's a surgeon, but like, I could have went ahead and just filed the traditional appeal, but she is going that extra mile to fight for me and go to bat for me and make sure that all our ducks are in a row to present everything that we have and all the evidence that we have to show that I need this device. And I'm just so grateful to her, and any opportunity that I don't have to deal with insurance is a wonderful opportunity. And so I'm just really grateful for her to have taken that burden off of me for now. So with the peer-to-peer interview meeting, whatever it's called, I don't know, you should have the results by the end of the week of what their decision is. And as far as the decision, like, my surgeon has nothing to do with that. Like, she's just merely presenting the arguments and the evidence and the medical evidence test results that show my significant hearing loss and evidence as to show why I need this for a medical reason. She has no power over the decision. She's just to essentially be the one speaking on my behalf, and to be honest, there's no one better to speak on my behalf for this, because I feel like I would get nervous and not know what to say. I would be nervous that I wouldn't be saying enough or something, and she deals with this all the time and knows what kind of games they play. And so I'm just so grateful that she's willing to take this burden from me. So that's happening this week, and then by the end of this week we should have the decision, and then again, if it's approved, then we can schedule surgery. But there is a possibility that they could still deny our case. They could still deny what my surgeon has to say and say, nope, there's not enough evidence here to show that Michaela needs this bone-anchored hearing aid. And so the peer-to-peer would be, like, they would still have the meeting, but the results could be denied. Like, they won't cover the surgery. So then, my said that they have a second approach, and they will fax in a written appeal. And I'm not sure. They explained to me a little bit what happens and when that happens, but it's confusing. Insurance, there's just so many details, and this kind of stuff they don't teach you in high school, and so you really have to learn as you go. And plus, if you're not medically complex, like, nobody thinks about their insurance, and nobody cares about it until they need it. So I didn't quite understand that avenue of the process, but what I did understand is that they do have that plan B of an additional appeal that can be filed, but the additional written appeal, I think, is the one that could take 30 days to decide. And if that falls through, then we'll take it a step higher. And so basically, my team is on my side, and we're not going to stop fighting this and making sure that I get what I need. And I'm not going to stop fighting for this. And just as I read, like, the day that I got the news, and just as God reminded me, He will supply all that I need. And it is really stressful not knowing the results and going through all this red tape and being in such a season of waiting all the time. I know it's always worth it, and I know that it will be worth it in the end, and that I will get what I need. So I will definitely keep you all posted on the results of the peer-to-peer meeting once I hear again, hopefully by the end of this week. I just ask that you pray for my surgeon, that she says all the right words and presents all the right things to show that I do need this hearing aid, and that somebody with some level of compassion will be on that call. I know insurance companies see people like me as just a number and a statistic and a dollar sign, not as a human being with real needs and the potential for a greater quality of life, and they could give that to me it's totally not in my hands, God's hands, and I know He'll provide for all that I need. But I would just love the prayers that the peer-to-peer meeting is approved or the decision is approved, so that we don't have to go through the 30-day appeal. I was not expecting the option of a peer-to-peer meeting, and I did not know that it's like only 48 hours for them to make a decision. So that's really cool that my surgeon knows about this shortcut and is willing to do this for me. So I just wanted to say thank you again for all the support. And one thing that I didn't quite mention in the original video when I talked about this is this process so frustrating is this hearing loss is not my fault, which we know. I've said that so many times. And I was dismissed by so many physicians about this issue. And now, as a result of their dismissiveness, I have hearing loss that can never be restored naturally without the use of external devices. When I kept telling people that something isn't right. And all of these years, my hearing bones were getting eaten away like Pac-Man, and they told me I would be okay. The past several months now, this process of my fusion and finally getting to the point where I can get to my bone anchored hearing aid and be physically able to undergo a surgery to have this, to have to fight for everything and to have to fight for something. I hate to say this out loud because that sounds horrible, but I feel I am entitled to this device because this is not my fault, because I was dismissed by so many physicians, and my hearing loss was, as a result of all of this, my hearing was taken away out of my right ear because they told me I would be okay, and I wasn't. And the damage is done. It can never be restored naturally. And so the least that I should be able to have as a result of being dismissed by so many members of the healthcare system is a device that can compensate for what was damaged and what can never be returned. Not only was my hearing destroyed by the dismissiveness of physicians, and now, because of their dismissiveness, I have to fight a device to help mitigate what was damaged and can improve my quality of life. If my hearing hadn't been damaged and these infections would not have destroyed my ear, I wouldn't have to fight for this device. And I think that's what's the most frustrating part. Is not only have I had to go through this process of hearing loss and 2 surgeries to repair the damage done by infection, but now I have to fight for a device to help me hear because my hearing was taken by this infection that told me that I was told I would be okay and wouldn't damage me in the long run. I'd have to fight with so much as it is medically that I need to have to add to this because of these physicians' mistakes. Like, they don't have to be the ones to call the insurance companies. Like, they don't have to be the ones to wait for this device to be implanted. They don't have to be the ones to be in someone else's shoes where the decision to be able to hear is in the hands of an insurance company. That's what I wanted to say. I hope that by me sharing my experiences, it will always encourage you to advocate for yourself, to get a team that will advocate for you and with you. Because there are good people in this world, and there will always be people willing to fight for you. And you are in control of who's on your side and who's in charge of your health care. I just realized watching that other video back, I realized that I didn't share that. It's just ironic to me that none of this hearing loss is my fault, and I was dismissed by so many members of healthcare. And now I have to fight for a device to mitigate the damage that they've done. And that decision is in the hands of the Lord. But ultimately, like, it's not just going to drop down from heaven. Like, I still have to go through the insurance chaos. I'm upset right now because of the reasons that I stated, you know, that I shouldn't have to go through this. And I know I talk smack a lot about the physicians that told me that I would be okay with all this and that my hearing wouldn't be damaged in the long run. I'm not bitter about or angry about this anymore. I mean, I'm angry about it, but I'm not angry at them anymore. Knowing that I was dismissed so many times makes me know and has made me realize that this is a general healthcare professional problem, and there are very few actually good doctors out there. It made me even more grateful for the good ones like the one I have. And I'm not angry at my previous physician. I'm angry about the situation, but I'm not bitter towards them. Like, I have fully forgiven them, and I've moved forward, and I have someone on my side now, and that's all that matters. But please keep me in your prayers, and my surgeon in your prayers, that the peer-to-peer meeting goes well this week, and I will keep you guys posted on the process and the updates and the outcome. My surgeon is doing everything that she can to make sure that this hearing aid gets implanted in my head. Like, she is not going to stop, and it's really comforting to know that I have someone rooting for me. I can imagine what that day will be like when I hear normally out of my right side for the first time in like 7 years. But it's been a long journey to get a hearing device sustainable enough for me to use for the long run, and I know it will be worth it. And they say anything good is worth waiting for. That's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching and for all your support and love and advice. I know that I'm rooting for you guys, and I know so many of you go through this mess and this messed up system as well. Know that it is worth it, and it's not perfect, but life is just all about dealing with what you've got and what you're presented with. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.